can't be done. It can't be done. Why would somebody do something like this? I mean, Parsnip Burger seems like such a nice guy. How can he ask people to pick their favorite films? It's insane. It's evil. He seems like such a nice guy. It's demonic. He's Satan. I have to wait. I have to find a way to stop. I can't do this. This is just too much. It's wrong. It's just truly wrong. Well, I've calmed down a little now. I would like to start out by congratulating Parsnip on 250 subscribers. I think that's wonderful. I really enjoy your channel. Several reasons. I think you come across as very genuine when you're talking about the things that you collect, the movies that you like. I think you are very informative and entertaining. And I like that you have a lot of diversity in the things, the genre and the types of things you collect. So those are all pluses that I'm sure will help you start on your next 250 even quicker. The second thing is I hadn't planned on entering any more contests after my last experience with Aaron Pinn, but when your original video went up about the contest, I was intrigued by the question because it's one I always dread. I hate when somebody asks me, what's your favorite film, what's your favorite 5 films, if you're stranded on an island, what 3 films, you know, whatever like that, books, music, anything. I despise it. I can never do it usually. It's just makes my brain want to implode. So I watched the video. I was looking forward to seeing the responses, and my OCD kicked in, and whether I wanted to or not, I started making lists in my head, but it would pass after a few days. And then the reason I think you're satanic is you'd put up another video reminding about the contest, and so that would get the little brain cells going again, little gray matter chugging along on this obsessive thought of favorites. What would your favorites be? And it grew and it grew. When the video first started, I contemplated it, because you start out with what are your favorite 5 films, and lately I watch mostly documentaries, either what I have here or on Netflix or on YouTube. And I thought, I bet I could come up with 5 documentaries that I like, top 5. And so in my head I'm running through, and I had almost a list in my head before you got to the part of your video where you said, I'd like you to choose 5 films, and if possible from different genres. And that's when my head went, no, you're not going to be doing this one. But like I said, each one of your reminder videos got me wondering and wondering. And here it is, the last day of the contest. And damned if I don't have some movies over there. And I'm going to give this a try. So let's get started. The first film, number 5, that I picked, a real classic. I don't know what else you can say. It's well, this is going to be wonderful. It's a very shiny case. Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. And I would classify this as speculative fiction, which is my overall category for science fiction, because it's not really science. It's a movie about what could happen, but doesn't take any scientific discoveries or any leaps of imaginations. It's a study in society and people. There is one scientific aspect as to how they treat the protagonist for his peculiarities. But overall, I mean, it's a future that looks pretty real when I watch the news. Um, the thing is, I saw this when I was rather young, and it's probably the first film where I actually was attracted to, entertained by, won over by what is essentially a truly evil prick. I mean, the villain. Um, Malcolm McDowell's performance is so stunning, and the way it starts out, he's so heartless, and yet then you get you find about his love of Beethoven. You see him, go through this process, and then everything turn on him, and it's just, even though you'd think you'd be going, yeah, serves him right. You don't. I didn't. I was more and more miserable as his life got miserable, and then the ending just twisted me up completely. Now, like I said, I hate favorites lists, and so this is probably going to be stretching the rules or unconventional. But if I wouldn't have picked Stanley Kubrick's, the real contention was, I mean, these could change any time. As everybody says, your favorites today may not be your favorite. Oh, man. So, Blade Runner. I love the theatrical cut. I know the other ones are supposed to be better, but I love the theatrical cut that I saw in the theater, and it's not just because that's where I saw it. I think it is the best film. I love the narrative. I love the ending. But this is just such a success on so many levels. The direction, the art direction is just unbelievable. The casting, the script. So if I hadn't picked Clockwork Orange, I would have picked Blade Runner. My fourth film, it's probably not the best Western ever made, but it is my favorite Western. And if you're going to have a favorite Western, more than likely the Duke is going to end up in it. I love Rio Bravo. I don't know how many times I've watched this film. And there are a lot of things to recommend it. Truthfully, John Wayne is not the main attraction for me on this one. I mean, I love John Wayne, and he's irreplaceable in the film. But what truly amazed me about Rio Bravo, and it won me over and has brought me back over and over again, is Dean Martin. I am a huge Dean Martin fan. I think he's highly underrated, and I think this is probably the best performance of his life. His depiction of the alcoholic sheriff, his going through that, digging himself out and trying to reestablish himself, to reclaim his dignity, is just wonderful. Ricky Nelson is very good as the cocky young gunslinger, and the whole movie is just, again, every aspect of it draws you in. There's even, it was done for commercial reasons. There's a song sung in here by Dean Martin and Ricky Nelson. I'll try to put a link below if I can find it on YouTube. My Pony, My Rifle, and Me, that I just think is great. Everything about the film, but especially Dean Martin, has made this a film that I could watch almost any time if I watched movies anymore. But if I didn't pick Rio Bravo, it's probably obvious. El Dorado. El Dorado is directed by the same director, Howard Hawks, and has John Wayne in basically the same part, but it has Robert Mitchum as the alcoholic sheriff, and he is excellent too, but he's known to be excellent. He shouldn't be, slighted just because he's good at this type of part, but he is excellent. But I just think Dean Martin brought more heart to it. This story is much more streamlined. This one has twists and turns and extra relationships and things going on that it doesn't feel as clean as it doesn't have the exact impact that Rio Bravo does. It has a young James Caan. It's an excellent film, but Rio Bravo just blows it away for me. My third film, and this was hard for me to put it at third, but I really did find two because I thought it's my favorite horror film. Is Halloween. I have Blu-ray and I still have my DVD. Halloween, when I originally saw it, just bowled me over. I'm not a slasher. I mean, I watched a lot of slasher films in my life, but this goes beyond slasher. I'm thinking about doing a video on horror films soon. With me soon is, you know. But this film is a standard. If I watch nothing else on Halloween, I watch Halloween. It just stands out above every other attempt at a film like this. And I mean, when they announced the remake by Rob Zombie, as much as I liked his earlier films, I knew there was no way he could touch it. There's some interesting stuff there, but I don't want to know Michael's backstory. I want the film to start with that POV shot and the reveal, and then we're into the movie and we have no idea what's created this evil or what's possessed. It's up to you. And Jamie Lee Curtis makes a stunning debut. John Carpenter's direction, script, and music is just chilling. And so this is number 3, my number 1 horror film. But if I wasn't going to pick this, there's 3 films on here, so I'm going to have to point it out. But Nosferatu is, for all the Dracula vampire movies made, Nosferatu is one I've watched a number of times and never get tired of. I just think it's such a wonderful film. Shrek as Count Orlok is just stands alone as far as vampire interpretations, and he is Dracula. I mean, that's why the film got in trouble. So if I couldn't have Halloween, it would be Nosferatu. But I've been watching horror films probably longer beside Disney than any genre, so picking a favorite horror film, Halloween is the one I won me over, but there are so many that just killed me seeing that it came up number 3. Number 2 is a comedy, and you may have heard of it, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And this film is just ridiculously funny. I had watched the series on PBS, probably that was my introduction, was like almost everybody else's. And then when I saw the film, I fell in love with it. It was the series on crack. I mean, it was insanely funny. And what added to it is, after seeing it in the late 70s, I became a fantasy role player, well, role-playing games in general, but my poison was the first edition of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And we would, I don't know how many times, I mean, this is such a quotable film, and there's so many memorable scenes, that something would happen in the game, and I'm sure this has happened, I know this has happened in campaign groups everywhere. Anybody who's done a fantasy or a historical role-playing, or maybe even any other kind of role-playing game, you know, your character gets devastatingly ripped to shreds, and some people go, "'Tis but a flesh wound," or I can't remember the number of times in unison when we knew we were about to get ripped to shreds, and everybody started shouting, "Run away! Run away!" So they are at their peak performance in this film. It is just a joy to watch. I don't know how anybody could not like this film. Um, but so this is number two. But my backup comedy is Airplane, just for the rapid paced. I mean, there's a lot of screwball comedies. There's a lot of comedy teams that I love. But if I had to pick one film, the sequel I don't like. But I mean, if I had to pick one film, Airplane would be my second comedy. But Holy Grail is the Holy Grail of comedies to me. It is the best comedy. It is my second favorite film. Again, as everybody always puts the caveat, my list could change so quickly. So this is just a video snapshot in time. And so the last film, I don't think this one will ever change. This has been my favorite film probably since first time I saw it. And it, I has one of my favorite actors in it. It's directed by one of my favorite directors. It has, again, like Holy Grail, just so many memorable characters, scenes, quotable lines, and it is a classic. I know, it's beloved, and so I'm not alone in this one. But if I could only have one film, I'm pretty sure, I almost have no doubt, that the film I would pick would be Casablanca. I love everything about Casablanca. Bogey he's at his iconic best in this. I saw this when I was very young, and even I understood all the implications. It's just wondering, you know that he's become jaded, yet he still has his sense of humor, and then she walks in with all the gin joints in all the world, and he has to deal with his past, and you don't know which way he's going to go. And then the supporting cast, you have where to begin. I mean, I wish I could get this to show up close so you could just see it. Peter Lorre, Sidney Greenstreet, Claude Rains, Conrad Veidt, Ingrid Bergman, Paul Heinrich. I mean, and there's more. There's so many supporting actors that you'd recognize on Rick's staff. And the song, I mean, As Time Goes By is one of my favorite songs. And and not only that song, but the scene between the Germans belting out their song and being overtaken, sung by the Rick's Place patrons with the French anthem is just chilling. If you are young, unlike me, and you haven't taken the time to watch Casablanca, you like new films, you like horror films, you like whatever. I mean, I have a nephew who would not watch anything that wasn't in color, and colorized didn't work. So I don't know if I ever got him to watch Casablanca. I think I did. But I mean, what I wouldn't give to have Blu-ray collector's edition, but it doesn't matter what format. I had this on video. I used to watch it on a little tiny screen when they showed the movie at night when I worked graveyard. So that's number one. But if I had to pick a second backup, is Robin Hood, Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn. I mean, Errol Flynn is just always in swashbuckling films fun. The supporting cast is always amazing. The score in this is awesome. It's truly a joy. I mean, there's so many depressing films in the world. It's nice that there is something that you get a thrill. There's that sense of adventure. there's that little bit of worry, but you know in the end the hero's gonna save the day. And so this would be my second choice if for some reason Casablanca was wiped from existence. So those are my 5 top favorite films from 5 genres. It kills me to say that. But thanks for making me think about this. Thanks for having the contest, sponsoring the contest. And especially thanks for all the wonderful videos you make. I mean, they are truly informative and entertaining. They're long. You might have noticed that, but I'm not someone who can talk. I mean, mine aren't as long as yours, but you have content in yours, so it's a forgivable thing. So again, congratulations on reaching 250 subscribers. I have no doubt that you're going to double that fairly quickly. And thanks for sharing your collection and your thoughts with us. I am always amazed and grateful for the people on YouTube. They make my life so much more enjoyable than it would be otherwise. So thank you and God bless. Take care.